friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide and welcome back to the Pantry Challenge. Y'all, I cannot get over this head cold. I'm fine one day, then the next, bam, I'm not feeling good again. So I need a quick and easy meal again, so crock pot chicken and dumplings to the rescue. I had planned on not filming any videos that used our cream of soup mix until I could get the video up to show y'all how to make it, but I cook with this mix all the time and I don't have the canned stuff, so that's just going to be impossible. I'm going to have to use this, but we do have a video coming up soon that will walk you through how to make the master mix and how to make the cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, and cream of celery. So normally this mix can just add water to it to make it work, but for chicken and dumplings we like them extra thick, so I'm going to go ahead and do just a quick roux to make this sauce, extra thick. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of ghee butter, and to that I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. And remember, this is for our cream of, I don't think I mentioned that. So this recipe calls for 2 cans, 1 can of cream of chicken soup and 1 can of cream of celery soup. And because instead of using cans, we're using our powder mix. Now, the master mix as is the base for all of them. So for this recipe, what I'm going to do is, since I need 2 cans of 2 different things, cream of chicken, cream of celery, I'm going to double this recipe, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of chicken broth powder, and I'm going to let that cook until it's at the consistency that it needs to be, and then I'm going to separate half of it into the crock pot, keep half of it in the pot, add the celery, and then we're going to get our cream of celery. So because I don't want to have to cook 2 different batches, so double batch this to make 2 cans, but we'll talk about that and kind of explain more about that as we go. Just in case you don't know, ghee is just shelf-stable butter. It's butter that's had the fat cooked off of it and separated from it. I'm going to let that get hot until it starts bubbling and until it starts clumping together, and then we're going to add our cream of soup mix. While this is getting ready, I'm going to go ahead and dump my chicken in. I have made this recipe with as little as 1 chicken breast before. It's an excellent way to stretch meat, but we do prefer dark meat for chicken and dumplings. It just seems like it tastes a lot better. So today I am using 2 chicken leg quarters. So it's just a leg and a thigh, a leg and a thigh. So it'll cook all day on low, and then an hour before we are ready to eat, I will scoop out the chicken, take out the bones, mix the chicken back into the pot. And you do want to place your chicken in the pot first before all of your other ingredients. I don't know if you can see that. We're bubbling really good and it's starting to separate. So we are going to add in a 1/3 cup of cream of soup mix, but remember I need 2 cans, so I'm going to do 2/3 cup of this master mix. And to that we need 1 1/4 cup water. Since I'm doubling it, I need 2 1/2 cups of water. Whisk that good. The reason why we just add water is because the master mix includes powdered milk, and that's what gives us the cream of part. Okay, I'm going to bring that to a boil. While that's coming up to a boil, we need 1 carton of chicken broth. We like peas in our chicken and dumplings, so I'm going to add a can of peas. I did drain the water out of those peas, by the way. And carrots. You can put in 3 fresh carrots. If I have fresh, that's what I do. Ooh, I need my key. But when I need to save time, I always go for dehydrated foods for soups because it has to cook for so long anyway. It'll rehydrate perfectly and it just saves a lot of time. I'm going to do about maybe 1/2 cup of carrots. These are sliced carrots. Let's just go ahead and do a full cup. We like carrots. Okay. Let's give our soup mix a good stir. Okay, this cream of soup mix is already starting to thicken. What we want is just picture the consistency of a can of cream of soup, and you're just going to boil it and constantly stir it to keep it from burning until you reach that consistency. It will thicken as it cools, so you don't necessarily have to cook it all the way until it's super, super thick, because it will thicken as it cools. We have been cooking this for maybe about 5 minutes now, and it is close to done. So you can estimate about 5 to 7 minutes cook time. I'm going to lower the heat a little bit. You can see it is really bubbling. And that's good. That's what we want. It's getting thicker as it cooks. I'm just going to lower that to about a 3 and let it cook for maybe 2 more minutes. Okay, so remember, in this pot is about 2 cans of cream of soup. And so I'm going to eyeball it and pour out about half of the pot into this bowl so we can make our cream of chicken. And then I'm going to leave about half to make our cream of celery. Putting that back on the heat, and now I'm just going to add about a tablespoon of dehydrated celery. Whisk that in, and we're going to let that cook for about 2 minutes. While that's cooking, I'm going to add a teaspoon of this chicken broth powder to the other half of that base mix. Okay, and here is our cream of chicken soup. Remember, it will cool, it will thicken up as it cools. You can see it's already pretty thick. I'm going to set it aside and let it cool for just a little bit before I add it to the crock pot. Okay, our cream of celery has now been cooking for about 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off the heat and allow it to cool as well, so it can get nice and thick before we add it to the crock pot. Okay, it's been a couple minutes. Our soup is starting to thicken up. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the crock pot. I'm going to use a spatula to get it all out. This is the cream of chicken and the cream of celery. I don't know if y'all have ever read the ingredient label on the back of those cream of soup mix from the store, but it has some ingredients that aren't necessarily the best and the cleanest. And when you make this powder mix at home, you can control exactly what goes in it. And you can store just 1 quart jar versus a whole, 10 or 12 cans. It saves space too. And I'm going to mix this around. Let's go ahead and plug it in. Go ahead and put it on low. Stir it around. Last thing I'm going to put in it is parsley. Just a good handful. That's it. We're going to let this cook all day on low. In about an hour before we are ready to eat, I will take the chicken out, shred that, take out the bones, and put it back in, and then we're going to add our biscuits on top of that. I had planned on making scratched biscuits with y'all to walk y'all through the process, but this head cold is just wiping me out. I found a half empty bag of frozen biscuits in my fridge, so that's what we're going to use. But I'll bring you back when we get to that point. Okay, so it's about 4:50, and that's about an hour until we are ready to eat. So what I just did is I scooped out the 2 leg quarters. I deboned it. Now I'm just going to shred that up pretty good, break it up. This is just so we can have a little bit of chicken with every bite, throughout the soup. We're just going to add this chicken back to the pot. And I can't remember, I think I mentioned earlier that I'm just too drained to make my biscuit dough from scratch for this. So I found a can of biscuits in the back of the fridge. They're about to expire, so I'm going to use these instead of those freezer ones I was telling you about earlier. All you do is break up the biscuits into little pieces. Whoops. Let's pinch it off. You can do whatever size you want. I usually do about that size. And that's it. That's what's going to form our dumplings. And then I'm just going to very gently pat them down so that the biscuits stay at the surface, but that's so that they are completely covered in liquid, or that they get completely wet. And that's going to help them stay chewy. Give us that chewy dumpling texture as opposed to a fluffy biscuit texture. Okay, lid back on. And we are going to let it cook on low for another hour. I'm going to come and test the biscuit, make sure that it's not completely Still doughy, but I don't think I've ever had to go longer than an hour. So I will be back and show you what it looks like plated up. Okay, it's just been just over an hour. I just turned the crock pot off. Now I'm just going to kind of break up all those little pieces of biscuit and give it a good stir. There we go. Crock pot chicken and dumplings using biscuits. Hope y'all enjoy.